In today's video, we are diving deep into a crucial topic: 7 reasons you must avoid being overly kind to others, lessons from Stoicism. Kindness is a virtue that we often cherish and strive to embody. However, when taken to an extreme, it can lead to unforeseen consequences that undermine your well-being and personal growth. Guided by the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, we'll explore why maintaining a balanced approach to kindness is essential. Throughout this video, we'll uncover how excessive kindness can lead to emotional burnout, enable destructive behaviors, and erode your sense of self. We'll share practical insights from the Stoics on how to set healthy boundaries, prioritize your needs, and foster genuine relationships without losing yourself in the process. By understanding these principles, you can cultivate a life of true compassion and strength. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. Your engagement helps us continue to bring valuable insights to our community. So, let's get ready to redefine kindness and embrace a more balanced, Stoic approach to our interactions with others. Stay tuned for an eye-opening journey into the depths of Stoic wisdom. Lesson 1 teaches that being excessively kind can lead to being perceived as weak, a reality that often results in being taken advantage of. While it's essential to maintain your kindness, it's equally important not to let it reach a point where you lose your sense of self. Consider the scenario where you constantly put others' needs before your own, giving away your last dollar, saying yes to every request, and striving to bring smiles to everyone's faces. Such behavior, although well-meaning, can make you appear as an easy target. Unfortunately, when people observe your perpetual willingness to bend over backward, they might start seeing you as a pushover. Over time, your acts of kindness might be mistaken for signs of weakness. This harsh truth reflects the way the world operates. People are more inclined to exploit those they perceive as weak rather than those they consider equals. Stoicism offers valuable insights for avoiding this pitfall by helping you build mental resilience and steadfastness in your principles. Stoics emphasize the importance of kindness, but they also recognize the necessity of not letting it dominate their lives. They understand the need to maintain their autonomy while offering help. Just like a garden fence that protects plants from critters, Stoics set boundaries to safeguard their well-being. Through Stoicism, you can learn to develop these mental boundaries and maintain a balance between kindness and firmness. For instance, imagine a scenario where a colleague frequently asks for your assistance with tasks that are beyond their responsibilities. Initially, you might feel compelled to help, driven by a desire to be supportive and kind. However, as the requests become more frequent and demanding, you begin to feel overwhelmed and taken for granted. At this juncture, Stoicism would advise you to evaluate the situation critically. Is your help truly necessary, or is your colleague simply relying on your goodwill to avoid their own responsibilities? Will your continued assistance foster their growth, or merely serve as a temporary solution that doesn't address the root of the problem? By taking a step back and assessing these factors, you can make a more informed decision about when to offer help and when to assert your boundaries. If your assistance leaves you feeling depleted and doesn't contribute significantly to the other person's improvement, it may be prudent to say no. This doesn't make you unkind, it reflects your strength and wisdom in recognizing your limits and the genuine needs of others. Moreover, establishing and maintaining these boundaries can lead to greater respect from those around you. People tend to respect individuals who assert their limits and demonstrate self-respect. It's akin to having a well-defined personal fence that signals to others that while you are willing to help, you also value your own well-being and time. This balance allows you to be kind without being exploited, ensuring that your kindness is both meaningful and sustainable. In essence, Stoicism advocates for a balanced approach to kindness, one that incorporates both generosity and self-preservation. It encourages you to be kind and helpful, but also to be firm and discerning about when and how to extend your kindness. Not everyone deserves your help, and it's not always your responsibility to solve every problem. By being both kind and firm, you can protect yourself from being taken advantage of while still contributing positively to the lives of others. This balanced approach not only preserves your energy and resources but also enhances the quality of your interactions and the effectiveness of your kindness. Lesson 2 teaches us that living to reflect the expectations and desires of others is a recipe for losing one's true self. Imagine being a mirror, constantly seeking approval and validation, always aiming to please others at the expense of your own needs and values. This path leads to becoming a people pleaser, where the desire to make others happy overshadows your own sense of identity. You find yourself unable to say no, equating constant acquiescence with kindness. However, this behavior slowly erodes your sense of self, bit by bit. You might think that Stoicism, a philosophy known for its focus on virtue and love, would advocate for endless kindness. Instead, it emphasizes balance and self-preservation. Stoics believe that everything in the universe, including our emotions, has a purpose. Emotions are not inherently harmful, but they become problematic when they are excessive and driven by the need for external validation, which leads to personal disintegration. The essence of Stoicism is that it is not the situations themselves, but our perceptions of them, that affect us. True kindness should come from a place of choice, not from the expectation of others. While it is noble to offer a helping hand, it should not come at the cost of your well-being. Seeking approval from others is a slippery slope that leads to a loss of self. It is a form of subjugation where a kind act becomes a mere tool for gaining approval. Just as too much honey can turn into poison, too much kindness can become destructive. Stoicism does not advocate selfishness but wisdom. Each time you choose to act kindly, reflect on whether it aligns with your values and beliefs. If it does not, then refrain from acting. There is strength in making this choice. Consider an illustrative example. Emily, a dedicated teacher, always goes the extra mile for her students and colleagues. She stays late to help struggling students, covers classes for absent colleagues, and even spends her own money on classroom supplies. At first, her actions are met with gratitude and admiration. However, over time, the constant demands begin to take a toll on her well-being. Her colleagues start to take her generosity for granted, expecting her to always be available. Emily finds herself exhausted, with little time for her own needs and interests. She realizes that her incessant need to please has led her to neglect her own health and happiness. Stoicism would advise Emily to reassess her actions and motivations. While helping others is commendable, it should not come at the expense of her own well-being. Stoicism teaches the concept of Stoic indifference, which involves caring less about others' opinions and more about maintaining one's own emotional balance. Arrian, a close companion of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, quoted him, "Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires but by the removal of desire." Seeking approval ties your emotional well-being to others, making you a prisoner of their expectations. True freedom comes from detaching yourself from the need for validation. The key is to practice kindness as a genuine expression of your virtues, not as a means to gain approval. This requires discipline and the ability to break free from ingrained habits. Remember, we are not bound by our habits or reactions, we have the power to choose our responses. The next time you feel compelled to go out of your way for someone, ask yourself whether you are doing it out of genuine kindness or simply to please. It is not about becoming cold-hearted but about reserving your kindness for those who truly value it, including yourself. In essence, Stoicism advocates for balanced kindness, one that respects both others and oneself. It teaches that kindness should stem from your inner values and not from a desperate need for approval. By maintaining this balance, you preserve your well-being and ensure that your kindness remains a true virtue rather than a burden. This approach not only strengthens your sense of self but also earns genuine respect from others, who will recognize and appreciate the authenticity of your actions. Lesson 3. Have you ever found yourself endlessly giving your time, energy, and resources to those around you, only to feel utterly drained in the end? Initially, it might seem fulfilling to be the go-to person for everyone, but this often comes at the expense of your own needs and well-being. Understanding the pitfalls of excessive giving is crucial. Imagine your energy and resources as a bucket of water you cannot pour from an empty bucket. Recklessly giving away your time, compassion, and assistance to everyone can lead to burnout, emotional fatigue, and a decline in the quality of your contributions. Stoicism teaches us the importance of emotional regulation and recognizing our limits. This philosophy emphasizes that while kindness is vital, it should be balanced with self-preservation and discipline. Consider the case of Sarah, a dedicated nurse who works long hours and often takes on extra shifts to help her colleagues. She frequently finds herself staying late to comfort patients, covering for co-workers, and even volunteering her time on weekends. At first, Sarah's actions are met with gratitude and admiration. However, as time goes on, her constant availability and willingness to help begin to wear her down. She starts to feel emotionally and physically exhausted, her own needs neglected. Her relationships outside of work suffer, and she becomes increasingly irritable and resentful. Stoicism would advise Sarah to reassess her approach to kindness. The philosophy encourages taking a step back to evaluate each situation. Questions like, am I in a position to help? Will my assistance negatively affect me? And do I have the means to give this much? Are essential. Honest self-assessment can distinguish between a fulfilling act of kindness and one that leads to self-destruction. Before extending your energy to others, ensure your own needs are met. It may seem like a tedious task to constantly check in with yourself, but it is vital. If you are not okay, you cannot effectively help others. Moreover, there is the risk of people taking advantage of your kindness. Not everyone will appreciate your generosity, some may see it as an opportunity to exploit you. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control others' actions, we can control our responses. If someone manipulates your kindness, it is crucial to reassess your boundaries and possibly disengage. Seneca, a renowned Stoic philosopher, wisely noted that necessary kindness often opens doors to exploitation. This highlights the importance of setting boundaries. Overstepping these boundaries can lead to exploitation and manipulation, turning your compassion into a liability. Human nature drives us to help, connect, and build relationships. However, unchecked kindness can transform from an act of compassion to one of exploitation. This is the harsh reality. Altruism is not always met with gratitude and can be perceived as weakness. Continuous giving without limits can result in others taking you for granted. Your generosity might become routine, leading to an imbalanced relationship where you give and others take without reciprocation. Extreme kindness can also attract opportunists who exploit your generosity for their benefit. We've seen countless examples of benefactors being deceived and compassionate individuals being overwhelmed by exploitation. The Stoic principle of detachment is crucial here. Stoics believe that we should not tie our well-being or happiness to the actions of others. Be kind, but within reason. Help others, but never forget your own worth. This realistic approach promotes a balanced life, encouraging us to practice virtues with boundaries. The goal is not to eliminate kindness but to exercise it with prudence, understanding its value and ensuring it is not exploited. Stoicism stresses the importance of self-respect and self-preservation alongside kindness. Mutual respect is key. If you offer kindness, expect some form of reciprocity. In practical terms, do not let your heart become a doormat for others to wipe their soiled shoes on. Protect your well-being while being kind. This balance is essential for maintaining healthy relationships and personal happiness. Sarah, for instance, could benefit from setting clearer boundaries at work. She might decide to limit the number of extra shifts she takes and ensure she has time for self-care. By doing so, she can continue to be an effective nurse without compromising her own well-being. In conclusion, Stoicism teaches that true kindness is not about endless self-sacrifice but about balanced, thoughtful actions that respect both others and oneself. By setting boundaries, we protect our resources and ensure our kindness remains a genuine virtue rather than a path to burnout and resentment. This approach fosters mutual respect and helps maintain our own well-being while still contributing positively to the lives of others. Lesson 4. Stoics are practical thinkers who emphasize the importance of reality and control. They believe that excessive kindness can lead to the dangerous state of enabling destructive behavior. This straightforward truth underscores their philosophy. To illustrate how this Stoic perspective aligns with the pitfalls of excessive altruism, consider the story of Chaos, a well-known Stoic and a virtuous man. Chaos was always there for his friends, offering help in every possible way. Even when his friends acted irresponsibly, he would rescue them from their predicaments. However, this constant support had an unintended consequence. His friends never learned from their mistakes. Confident that Chaos would always be their safety net, their destructive habits continued unchecked. Over time, Chaos realized that his kindness was preventing them from experiencing the full consequences of their actions, thus inhibiting their personal growth. Eventually, Chaos decided to step back, allowing his friends to face their own trials. This decision was not made out of unkindness or indifference but from the understanding that true change comes from within and that sometimes encountering the consequences of one's actions is the most effective route to self-improvement. Stoics like Chaos value personal responsibility and the acceptance of consequences as essential to personal growth. Their lives serve as a testament to this belief. When faced with a situation where your kindness might be enabling someone's self-destructive behavior, Stoicism urges you to distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot. In such scenarios, while you can control your actions and responses, you cannot control how another person chooses to behave. Accepting this truth can be incredibly liberating. If you find yourself enabling someone's harmful conduct, it is crucial to step back and reflect. Are your actions genuinely helping them, or are they merely reinforcing their destructive patterns? There is a delicate balance between helping and enabling, and navigating this requires clear-sighted judgment. Initiate an internal dialogue, consider the possible outcomes, and make decisions based on what is within your control. Allow others to learn from their mistakes, a principle that Ko himself adhered to in his life. Practicing restraint, though it may not seem pleasant, can often be the most compassionate course of action. This approach is rooted in the understanding that people sometimes need to stumble, fall, and pick themselves up to truly grow. For example, imagine a friend who constantly borrows money and never repays it. Initially, you might feel that lending them money is the kind and supportive thing to do. However, as time goes on, you notice that your friend's financial irresponsibility only worsens because they rely on your generosity as a crutch. By continuously bailing them out, you prevent them from facing the real consequences of their actions, such as learning to budget or seeking financial counseling. Recognizing this pattern, you decide to stop lending money and instead offer to help them create a budget or find other resources. Although it might be difficult, this shift helps your friend take responsibility for their finances and fosters their personal growth. In essence, Stoicism advocates for a balanced approach to kindness, one that involves being just and compassionate but also wise enough to recognize when your actions might be causing more harm than good. It emphasizes the importance of maintaining your own well-being while allowing others the space to grow through their experiences. By doing so, you not only preserve your integrity and strength but also truly support the personal development of those around you. Lesson 5: If you always extend unmeasured kindness, you create barriers to your personal growth. Think of this like watering a houseplant. Water is essential, but too much can drown it. Similarly, imagine yourself as a perpetual fountain of kindness, constantly flowing and accumulating more and more expectations from others. This unending generosity drains your self-awareness and stifles the need for introspection and self-improvement. You become so consumed by others' needs that you have no time left for your own dreams and aspirations. It's like being enveloped in a fog of perpetual giving, where your own needs are completely obscured. Personal growth often arises from adversity, hardship, and struggle. However, by continually prioritizing others' happiness over your own, you shield yourself from the very challenges that foster character development and growth. Your focus on keeping everyone happy diverts your attention from addressing your own issues and striving for self-improvement. This narrow focus prevents you from stepping back, evaluating your own shortcomings, and working on them. Moreover, when you're always kind, people's expectations grow. You become the go-to person who will always give more than they take, living under a constant shadow of expectation. The world turns into a demanding stage, and you become a puppet, ceaselessly dancing to the whims of others. This restricts your potential, leaving you stifled in an endless loop of giving. It numbs your sense of self and paints your world in dull shades of obligation, where each day mirrors the last in a monotonous cycle of self-neglect. Consider the example of Mark, a diligent employee who never says no to any request from his co-workers. He stays late to help with projects, covers shifts, and even takes on tasks that aren't his responsibility. At first, this behavior earns him praise and appreciation. But over time, his co-workers begin to take his generosity for granted, expecting him to handle extra work without hesitation. Mark's own workload becomes overwhelming, and he has no time left for his personal projects or professional development. His health deteriorates due to stress, and he feels increasingly resentful and unappreciated. Mark's excessive kindness becomes a barrier to his own growth. He neglects his own needs and aspirations, losing sight of his goals. His constant giving not only prevents him from addressing his own shortcomings but also leads to burnout and emotional exhaustion. Before being excessively kind, we often fail to voice our dissent when we really should. Fearing that we might hurt or offend someone, we bottle up our opinions and thoughts. In the long run, this stunts our intellectual and emotional growth. We dilute our persona, our individuality, and fade into anonymity. It's crucial to find a balance between kindness and self-care. By setting boundaries and prioritizing our own well-being, we can cultivate personal growth and maintain healthy relationships with others. In conclusion, unmeasured kindness, while noble, can hinder personal development and lead to burnout. By recognizing the importance of self-awareness and setting boundaries, we can ensure that our kindness benefits both others and ourselves. This balance fosters growth, resilience, and a more fulfilling life. Lesson 6. We often find ourselves irresistibly drawn to the task of making everyone around us happy. This urge may stem from a deep well of empathy, a need for acceptance, or an ingrained belief that by facilitating others' joy, we find our own. However, Stoicism advises us to face reality as it is, which includes recognizing the inherent gamble in tying our happiness to others' satisfaction. In our quest to be the purveyor of happiness, we frequently neglect our own well-being. Stoics assert that one can only control their inner world. Attempting to manage someone else's emotional state is like trying to hold grains of sand in a clenched fist, largely futile, exhausting, and ultimately leaving you empty-handed. Stoicism highlights the issue of moral dependency that arises from this obsession with wanting to make everyone happy. The Stoics believe that our moral disposition should be self-reliant. We should act rightly because it's the good thing to do, not because we seek the gratification of seeing others pleased or fear their disapproval. Always attempting to stifle discontentment around you is akin to placing your moral compass in the hands of others. Consequently, your sense of good becomes dependent on the reactions of those around you, a risky venture since people have diverse and often conflicting views of what brings them joy. An essential aspect of Stoicism is the value it places on authenticity. Being true to oneself, acknowledging your own needs and emotions, is vital. In the relentless endeavor to make others happy, you may find yourself sacrificing this authenticity. You may dismiss your own needs and feelings, not realizing that in doing so, you're surrendering one of the most intrinsic parts of your being. This concept of overkindness, the endless striving to make others happy, is indeed akin to extending yourself too thin, too widely. It's like a candle burning at both ends, providing light to others but steadily dwindling itself. Stoicism urges moderation in all things, including kindness. Too much of it, especially at the expense of oneself, doesn't lead to more happiness but instead paves the way towards exhaustion, resentment, and a loss of self-identity. Consider the example of Sarah, a dedicated community volunteer. She spends countless hours helping others, organizing events, and providing support to those in need. Initially, her efforts bring her immense satisfaction and the gratitude of the community. However, as time goes on, Sarah begins to feel overwhelmed and drained. Her own personal needs and aspirations take a backseat to the demands of others. She rarely has time for herself, her hobbies, or even her family. Eventually, Sarah becomes resentful and burnt out, realizing that her unmeasured kindness has led to her own neglect and unhappiness. Stoicism advocates balance. Be kind, be just, and aim to bring happiness to others, but not at the destruction of your own well-being and sense of self. Maintain your authenticity, recognize the dynamics of control, and understand that your moral stability should arise from within. Remember, the light that you shine on others comes from within you. To keep it burning, you need to tend to your own flame too. As we conclude our exploration of the importance of avoiding overly kindness through the lens of Stoicism, we hope you've gained valuable insights into how to navigate the complexities of compassion and self-preservation. Remember, practicing moderation in kindness doesn't mean withholding empathy or turning a blind eye to the needs of others. Instead, it empowers you to cultivate genuine connections, prioritize your well-being, and foster a balanced approach to relationships. We also encourage you to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on today's topic. How do you strike a balance between kindness and self-care in your own life? Feel free to share this video with your friends and family who may benefit from these teachings, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us on this journey of philosophical exploration. Together, let's embrace the wisdom of Stoicism and create a more compassionate, resilient world. Until next time, stay curious and keep seeking truth.